everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. Today I am here with my daughter for our holiday Thanksgiving, weekend. And this is Rachel. She's been doing all kinds of little arts and stuff in the craft, like basically doing arts and crafts with me in the studio. So she enjoys her little time with me. And she's got her own little studio desk on the other side, so that way she can work with me. But she actually told me she wanted to get on here with me so that way we can wish everybody a happy holiday and a happy Thanksgiving, and hope everybody is staying safe out there and just enjoying time with family. This video actually may come out after Thanksgiving, but still, nonetheless, we just wanted to wish everybody a happy holidays. So let's go ahead and jump over to the color pencil piece that I got behind me. And this will be part 4 of working on the little hamster and the muffins. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on over to it. Alright, so I'm starting on the very first part. I've already got my sketch drew in. Of course, everything's already drew in anyway. And I am using my Derwent electric eraser just to kind of quickly go through and erase some of the graphite that's on the paper, so that way I don't have a bunch of graphite just showing through, especially whenever I'm working with a lighter color like yellows for these yellow flowers. These flowers are actually another reference photo that I got from Pixabay. Now, even though I sketched in my flowers, it's not identical to a T on the flowers. There are some areas on it that I couldn't really identify which flower is which, because I'm working with such small little bitty petals and such small flowers. Now this here flower is actually, I guess they call it the Oregon state flower for Oregon, the state of Oregon here in the US. And I just kind of, well, there I was trying to clear the camera real quick. But I was just trying to get the similar colors. They're not entirely to the reference photo. So even some of the petals and everything else is not entirely to the reference photo. So I kind of made a little bit of it up just to kind of I just wanted some really cute flowers in there, basically. So I wasn't going to do this 100% to a T by the reference photo. Plus that they are smaller flowers. I just wanted kind of that flowy kind of flower in there. I just wanted to have that little bit of touch to it. So in the process of doing this, as you can see, I'm going to be doing multiple flowers, multiple petals here and there. Oops, almost lost my airbrush gun. But I used a total, if you're wondering, of 7, 8, about 14 colors. So I mean, a lot of different colors are going into this. Those purples, kind of like for the shadows, you want to get that shadow to a yellow. I used, for my lighter color, I used the sepia 10%. And then I used, for some of the darker shadows, getting a little bit darker, but kind of similar to that, I used a gray, or is it a violet gray? And I used that one. And all of the color pencils that I did use was out of the Caran D'Ache luminance set, except for the white. The white was the Derwent drawing, but I tried to stick with just one type of color pencil. So I just went ahead and went with my Caran D'Ache luminance, because I can usually get a sharper point on those. Not as sharp as I can a polychromos, but it does get a lot more sharper, and I can actually do these little tiny petals, because since it is a very small petal and I'm working with a smaller piece here, doing these little bitty fine touches on these petals, I didn't want to use any OMS. So I didn't want to go with something like my Derwent lightfast colors that have, it's much softer of a pencil to where I can easily blend with OMS. I didn't want to go with that one. I wanted to go with more of an in-between kind of pencil, like where it's not too hard, not too soft, and that I can basically do all these petals without using any OMS. So that way I can keep my detail in there. So that's what I did with this whole entire flower pieces, and with the little vine, or at least the the little stem that I ended up creating with this. So the shadows, like I said, I used either the sepia 10% out of the Caran D'Ache luminance, or I used the violet gray to create the shadowing. In the middle, it had more of a green, and the reference photo was more like a green little, kind of like a little, like the center of a little flower has that little thing sticking up. Gosh, I don't even know words right now. Words are bad today. All right. But I decided instead of doing like a little green on the inside, like the reference showed, I kind of went with some more like pink colors, like the violet pink. And then I used a little bit of burnt sienna, 50%, to go around the edges to make it a little bit of a darker color, like it's in the shadows inside the center. And if I wanted to go a little bit lighter, then I took my Herculaneum red. I took that. It's more like a pink kind of color, and I used that for like some of the lighter colors on the inside. So I did use 3 different types of colors just for the internal part of the flower. But I kind of did them not all at once. Some of them I may have done like only 2 of those colors. Some may have only done 1 with a little bit of shadowing of the sepia of 10% or the violet gray. So I kind of went back and forth with that. Now the yellows, depending on which way it's facing, if it's facing more towards the light, then I would go to my brightest yellow, which is the, let's see here. My brightest yellow, I used lemon yellow out of the Caran D'Ache luminous set. And then sometimes I would put a white down first, just making sure the white's in and around that, which you can see me do right there, kind of put a little bit of white. And then I would go over the top of it with a color, which doesn't make it as, it makes it just a little bit more brighter, or lighten it just a little bit more. So I use that white to kind of, if I wanted to stand out a little bit more than just the bright yellow, sometimes I even do a little bit of white first before I lay that really bright yellow down. And then after that, I kind of work in stages from the yellows. The other yellows that I did use, like the darker, I think the darkest yellow I used was the yellow ochre, along with the Indian yellow, were my 2 darker ones that I would use. And then I had 2 like medium colored yellows. One had a little bit of an orange tint to it. So you had the bismuth yellow, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and the medium cadmium yellow. And I used both of those, kind of being my mid-range colors, just kind of mixing them up. Occasionally I would use the golden bismuth yellow in there, but it would be more like an orangey color, so I wouldn't use a whole bunch of that because I didn't want too much orange in my flowers, so I wanted them to be yellow. So I definitely used just a little bit of that, maybe here and there, but not as much as the other colors. Now the olive yellow, which is more of a greenish tone yellow, I use that like if it's something like a smaller flower or one that has a little bit more greenish hue to it, because it's not yet, I mean, it may have blossomed a little bit, but it's still got a little bit of that green, fresh tone, kind of like a banana, you know? You see those bananas at the store and they're like green and they haven't yellowed all the way, I guess ripened all the way. So I wanted to have kind of that look in some of the flowers. Then I would add a little bit of my olive yellow to it. Now you'll see me end up going back and darkening it a lot more, and it looks like a really dark color. That dark color, when you see me go back and do it, I'll actually point it out to you guys. That was the Castle Earth. I absolutely love it. It's a brownish kind of color, and I like using that in some of the really dark areas. Now I don't want to darken them out too much yet, because still at this point, there it is, there's the dark color. See, I even darkened it just a little bit more to add that deep dark rich shadow in those little bitty corners, you know, where the light ain't touching or where it's kind of spaced out. That's where I use the Castle Earth. Now here I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, sorry you guys. On the stems there, I kind of created a little bit of green. This is me jumping directly into working with the vine. So even though we worked on a lot of those flowers, I started in with my greens, And the darkest ones that I used for those greens, for the stem, was the dark, I don't even know if I can pronounce it. It's like Pathonic something green. It's 719 on the Caran D'Ache luminance. And then if I wanted to go even darker to where I have the very, very bottom, it has the darkest color, I ended up going with a, here comes another one. I feel like I can't talk or I can't read. My goodness, they always have to put some really hard colors. It's Caran D'Ache 649. It's like Indian Lithone blue, India Throne blue. I don't know. I really can't pronounce that long of letters, and it's so tiny, all squished together. But yeah, it's 649. It is a really dark, like kind of blue, and I use that to add in my deepest, darkest, richest shadows. But also you got to keep in mind too, and this is one reason why I don't really want to blend within OMS, just because it is really small and I'm working with such fine detail that I really don't want to, add OMS to it. I just want to kind of, even if I had to burnish the very last part of it just to make sure. But another reason too is because I haven't added in or colored in any of the chest yet. So you get a little bit more darker colors in the background where that leaf or where that flower is, along with I'll have to add shadows to the chest where those flowers are going to be. So that's where I wanted to add the flower, or not the flowers, but the shadows to it. And by doing that, by making that background darker and have, those darker colors plus the shadowing, it's literally going to make those flowers pop even more. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind, is that you could have to go back and rearrange and reshadow, or even darkening up those flowers more, because it may be way too bright. I'm sorry that this happens to be a really short video. I know all I did was the flowers this week. Just because of the holidays and spending time with family and traveling and all of the bunch, I was only able to spare enough time to be able to just work on the flowers this week. But next week I should have a longer video available for you guys. So hopefully I'll see you then. Remember to click the like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next Thursday. Bye, you guys.